Okay, so today's class will be, what are the different types of stages in Snowflake. Okay, so the terms we see is what is the stage, what are different types of stages. Okay, so this is one of the important term we generally use, and in the interview or in the job description also they will ask, a candidate should be familiar with different stages like internal, external, name, like that they will mention in the JD. Okay, so what is the stage? Okay, and what are different types of stages? So these are the things we need to know from here. Okay, so actually we know in the real-time environment something called source, stage, and target. Okay, so in the stage, we basically we pull the data from source to staging layer, and within the staging layer we process the data and then load it into target and target database. So basically in the staging layer, it will act as an intermediate layer where we pull the data from different source systems. In fact, this is the architecture of ETL architecture in the data warehousing. So what is the use of staging layer? It is the place where we process, we clean and transform the data actually. Okay, so but here what is the stage? We will explain it later. Stage is the place, okay, is the location where we can store the data for the purpose of loading. Yeah, stage is the location, okay, or stage is the location or place where we keep the data, okay, maybe temporarily for the purpose of loading into where? Loading into target tables. So same. So staging in the data warehousing, here anywhere staging is the stage, okay, it's an intermediate place or location where we stage the files. Staging files means keeping files, okay, for the purpose of loading into target. So that means in anywhere, what we do in our day-to-day activities, we load the data. Okay, so for loading we have to bring the data from different sources. It may be like external sources, like means external to Snowflake, somewhere in on premises, or somewhere in, okay, maybe in MySQL, Postgres, Oracle, DB2, Sybase, or wherever it may be. And from there, or sometimes they may be external to Snowflake, like maybe from AWS, from Azure or GCP. So somewhere the source data is there. So from there you will pull the data into Snowflake and you will keep it there. So that landing area is called stage. Stage is a place where, or it is the location where we keep the files, or we stage the files, okay, for the purpose of loading into, yeah, obviously we are pulling the data for the purpose of loading into target. Yeah, so for the purpose of loading into tables, target tables. Okay, so what are different types of stages? Okay, of course there are, we generally classify it into two types: internal stage and external stage. So internal stage means it is within Snowflake. Okay, so the location where we stage the files or keep the files is within inside Snowflake environment. Okay, and those are all called internal stages. External stage means we keep the files not within Snowflake or outside of Snowflake environment. That is called external stage. Okay, so the files staged in external stage are not within Snowflake environment. They are outside of Snowflake environment. Okay, those are all called external stages. Okay, so internal stage, we said that the files are located or stored within our internal, okay, within Snowflake environment. So they are again classified into three things. Okay, user stage, table stage, internal named stage. Okay, of course you don't have to say internal named stage, you can also say named stage. Okay, so internal stage means the location of the files are within Snowflake environment, or the files where we are staging are within Snowflake environment. They are called internal stage. Or what is internal? Actually, what is stage? Stage is the location, okay, where we keep the files for the purpose of loading into Snowflake. Okay, so the staging can be within Snowflake or outside of Snowflake. That means the staging can be within Snowflake environment or outside of Snowflake environment. Okay. If the staging is within Snowflake environment, it is called internal stage. If the staging is outside of Snowflake environment, it is called external stage. Okay. So that means internal stage means within Snowflake environment you will keep it. Maybe within your local space or in your project space. Okay. So within your company VPC, you will keep it. Okay. Or external stage means it is outside of Snowflake environment, mostly within the AWS. Generally, if you are working Snowflake in AWS, it will be in S3. Okay, so or if you are working in Azure, then it's Azure storage, blob storage. If you are working in GCP environment, it is GCS. So that is their storage. So there, the external stage files will be there. Of course, from there we will copy into internal stage, and then of course we will load the data. So yeah, we will see that how to load and unload. Okay, so during load and unload concepts, but for now only what is the place or location that we store the files is called, okay, the location where we keep the files is called stage, and the stages are of two types, broadly categorized into two types, internal and external. Internal stage is again classified into three types: user stage, table stage, and internal stage or named stage. Internal named stage or named stage. Okay. That okay. So now let us see what is this user stage, what is this table stage, and what is this internal named stage. So types internal and external. Internal stage is user stage, table stage, and named stage. Okay, user stage. User is assigned with space to store files, which is called as user stage. That means basically what is called user stage is the files created by a user or stored within the users. Actually, every user, every database will have space, okay, assigned. Okay, so in the real time, for example, you will request your user, right, as soon as you join in the company. So for you, some space will be allocated for your user. And of course, for whatever databases, at the same time when you request your database, I also told you that you will also request, access to some databases, okay, your project specific databases. So you will be created or granted access on those databases as well. So here, when you log in with your user also will have some space, okay, and your database, of course, it definitely will have more space. So when you create files within your user, that is called user stage. Means if you create files within your user space, okay, that is called user stage. Means it is within your space, within your user space. Means that is your one way we can say that it's your private space. Means only your user is assigned, maybe, okay, some 10 GB. That space can only be used by you. That's it. It cannot be used by any other user, and it cannot be accessed by any other user. So all your work, okay, your, for example, you're doing development and you're trying to do, some task, okay, you're trying on your own whether it will success or not. So those types of files you can create in your space, so that others also they cannot see it actually. And it is just internal to you or local to you. You can only see and use it as a reference. Okay, and if you create, okay, any files in that particular space, that is called user stage. Each user is assigned with a space to store files, which is called as user stage. Okay, so whatever space is allocated to your user, that is actually assigned to you, and no one else will have access to that, and no one else can see what you store there also. It is just your space. Okay, and you can use it for your personal POC means whatever tasks you are doing, proof of concepts, or whatever stage or testing loading you are doing before development. Let's say you want to test whether this will work or not. Like that, you will do some test kind of loading, okay, or some one time loads or something just for testing purpose. Those things also you can keep it in that user stage. Okay, and yeah, the space assigned for a user is called user stage. That's it. So only a single user needs to access the files, but it needs to be duplicated into many tables. That means only you will have access to your user space. Others cannot have access. Okay. But if you load that data into a table, and if the table is accessible to all other users, then of course the table is accessible. But as long as the data is there in the stage, means before loading. What is stage? It's the before loading thing we are talking about. Stage means the data is there in the stage, means it is before loading into a table. Means data is not yet loaded into table. Okay, that means it is just available to you. But if you load it into a table, if the table has, whoever access to the table, they all will have access from the table, not from the stage. So the table can be accessed by multiple people. Okay, so there are different stages, right? Like user stage, table stage, and named stage. So how do we know which is user stage, which is table stage, which is named stage? Or how do we access what is there in the user stage, what is there in the table stage, and what is there in the named stage? So there is different notation is given. That is at the rate tilde. That symbol is called at the rate followed with tilde, is used to refer the user stages. Means if you are querying select star from at the rate tilde, the stage name, so it will, that means you are querying user stage. So at the rate tilde is used to access, or actually it refers to the user stage. If you are querying select star from at the rate tilde some stage name, that means we should understand that whatever you are accessing is a user stage. So at the rate tilde is used to refer the user stage. Okay. Then what is the pros and cons, or what is the advantages and disadvantages of this particular user stage? Okay. User stages can't be changed or removed. That means once you create a stage, it will be there. Okay. You cannot change the name or anything. Okay. So user stages can't be changed. Once you create, it will be there with that name. And setting file format parameters are not available. That means you cannot upload in different file formats like CSV, Parquet, Avro, okay, JSON. Like that, you cannot create files in whatever way or whatever format you want. Okay, so it has a particular format and it will be created in that. You cannot touch it actually. Once you create user stage, that means basically it is managed by the system. Okay, so you cannot do anything, but you can use it for loading purpose. Okay, you can refer at the rate tilde while loading. Loading means I will tell, we use copy command. Okay, so while loading you can use at the rate tilde, the stage name. Then it will automatically understand, okay, what is that format and what is the data, everything it will understand, it will load. So you don't face any issues while loading, but you cannot do explicitly any changes or any format change or anything. So that's what user stage. Okay, user stage means it is the location where the file is stored within the user space. Okay, so only that particular user will have access. One user space cannot be accessed or seen by other user, because that is specific to that user. Okay, of course you can load it into a table, whatever data is there in the user space. And of course, once it is loaded into table, it can be accessed by other people via table, not from stage. Because tables, maybe many people will have access to the table. So whoever has access to those tables, they will definitely can access the data what is there in the table. And how to refer user stage? At the rate tilde. That symbol is called tilde. This symbol is used to refer the user stages. Then limitations. What is the limitations? User stages can't be changed or removed. Okay. That means system will create it automatically whenever you create user stage, and you cannot specify any particular file format like CSV, JSON, okay, Parquet, Avro. I mean, you cannot mention any of those. That means what file format it will create, sir? It will create, its own understanding. It will have, okay. Whenever you create user stage, it will create some file format internally, and it while reading also it will read it. At the time whenever you mentioned at the rate tilde, it will automatically understand that it's a user stage. So because everything is stored within the metadata, so it will understand, okay, user stage means, okay, this is the format. It will read it and load it. That's it. You will not do anything. You don't need to specify anything. That is user stage. Okay, setting file format parameters are not available. Okay, so when do we use it? When do we use it? Whenever you are doing any particular task, okay, assigned to you, and you are trying to do it like a testing kind of thing, okay, on your own, you can use this user stage, because user generally will have less storage, okay, compared to database. Okay, so whatever you want to do on your own for POC purpose or testing purpose before doing the development in the in the table space or external stage, you can do it here. Once it's working, then you can do on the original table. Okay. So of course, the next stage talks about the next slide talks about how to do. Okay. User stage, how to create user stage and how to load. This we will see separately during practice. Then table stage. What is a table stage? Each table is assigned with space to store files, which is called table stage. That means, like user is assigned some space. Similarly, tables and databases also will be assigned. In fact, database means it will have, it will come with some storage. Okay, what is database actually? Database is collection of data. That means when we create database only, it will comes with some space, maybe like 500 GB, some 10 TB. Okay, depends on customer and depends on their data warehouse size. They will assign different spaces to database. So database means what? It's a collection of tables. So all the tables that are created in the database are using that particular space assigned to the database. Okay. So that means each table will make use of the database space. So which we call as table space. So each table is assigned with space to store files, which is called as table space. That means within database tables will be there. For example, a database is 500 GB and it has some 50 tables. Okay. Maybe some tables are too big, some tables are too small, but it doesn't matter. All the tables are supposed to use only that 500 GB. That's it. If that space is over, then it will say that no more room in the database or insufficient space within this database. Like that error you will get. So at that time, two things we can do. One thing, cleaning up the large tables means maybe some unnecessary backup tables are there within the database. We said right there are 50 tables. You see which are the unnecessary backup tables and you can drop it or increase the database. For example, nothing is unnecessary, everything is required. Then we can increase this space. Which space? Database storage. 500 to you can increase to 1000 GB. Then you can create new tables and all. So before, for example, you are trying to load employee table. Okay. So before loading into employee table, you can create employee stage. That means before loading into a table, we are loading into its respective stage. So that is called table stage. Okay. Table stage. Okay. Each table is assigned with space to store files, right? So this table stage will make use of the table storage. Okay. Each table is assigned with space to store files, which is called table stage. Means before you loading into employee table, okay, you will create employee stage, meaning that this is the data that will go into employee table. Okay, so you will just create this stage as table stage, and from table stage you will copy or load it into that employee table, whatever that it may be, employee, customer, anything. I'm just telling employee. Okay, so before loading into a table, we'll keep the file, or keeping file means staging. You will stage that file in that respective table space. That is called table stage actually. Okay, what is the table stage? The space which is assigned to a table. Okay, if you keep your data in that, or if you stage your data in that, okay, for the purpose of loading into that table, is called that particular table stage. Okay, if the files needs to be available to several people and copy the data into a single table. Okay. Okay, so table stage name will appear same as the table name. I said right. If you are doing loading into employee table, then stage also will be created with employee. Okay, so here, what is the naming convention of table stage? At the rate percentage. At the rate there, if it is a user, at the rate tilde. At the rate tilde is the user stage. But at the rate percentage is the table stage. So that means how do we know whether we are accessing a user stage or table stage based on this notation? If you are using select star from at the rate tilde some name, that means that's a user stage. You are accessing the user stage. But you are using select star from at the rate percentage, that means you are referring to the table stage. So that's why the notation also different from user stage to table stage. User stage is at the rate tilde and table stage is at the rate percentage. User stage is saved within the user space, whereas table stage is stored within the table space. I already said user will have some storage and database will have some storage, right? Database means the tables will have their own storage. Of course, that is of database storage. So if you are storing your files within the user space, that's a user stage, okay, which is referred with at the rate tilde. And if you are using table space to store your files, then that's a table stage, and which we will access or refer using at the rate percentage. Okay, so and here also you cannot give different name. Generally, the name of a table stage is same as table name. Okay, and here also you cannot change the file formats. See here limitation. Table stage can't be changed or removed. Means if you are loading into employee table, your stage name also will be created with employee. And you cannot again change CSV. I mean, you cannot give of your own file format. CSV, I want CSV, I want JSON, I want Avro, I want. Of course, actually, see, what we want is we want to load the data. Okay, how it stores and loads actually doesn't matter. That's why user stage and table stage, are coming with these options. Means you don't control what storage it will load. It will store. What you need is loading should be completed. That it will do. Okay, so it only will internally take care of the what format it stores and what name it stores. You just need to mention at the rate percentage if it is a table stage, at the rate tilde if it is a user stage. That's it. All file formats it will automatically understand and it will complete the loading process. We don't have to worry about it. Okay, so but yeah, we are just reading how it works. Limitations, I mean, we're just saying limitations. Table stage can't be changed or removed. Setting file formats are not available. That means you don't control in what file format the table stage should be, created. Okay, fine. Then some people will say that no, no, I just want to give my own name. I just want to give my own file format. Okay. Then there is another which is called, yeah,
Krishna, hello.
yeah, yeah, Harika.
Krishna, for the user stage also the same limitations are there.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Same. Yes.
So if the user can't be changed or removed, I mean, if that particular user is not working in the organization, then the data.
Okay, what happens? You're asking if the user leaves.
Yeah.
You see, once the user is removed, for example, let's say Harika user is left the company, we remove the user, right? So all the space is cleared. When we drop the user, everything assigned to that user will be cleared, means removed, and that space will be added back to the owner. Owner means who created that user. Generally, this is admin or the security admin. Yeah. So, for example, I created your user. Okay, I'm a sysadmin user. Okay, and that user means that role. Okay. So I have given you. I have all this space. I have given you 10 GB. After, let's say, you left the company and I dropped your user. So whatever space you have, that will be assigned back to me because I'm the parent or
Oh,
owner. Okay.
okay, Krishna.
Yeah. Similarly, drop database also. So when table is created and loaded, let's say it used 5 GB space. When the table is dropped, the 5 GB will be back to database. It will be added back to database. Okay, database may have 500 GB and the database has only 50 tables. So all 50 tables can use up to that 500 GB. Okay, let's say one table is 5 GB, another table is 10 GB, another table is 15 GB. No problem. Okay, as long as they are within that 500 GB, you can create any number of tables. So once you drop any table, that space is added back to the database. So that means that space can be used by other tables, whatever you are going to create newly. Yeah, same case in case of user as well. Okay, so this is about table stage and user stage. So the notation is @ tilde for user stage and @ percentage for table stage. Okay, then somebody may say that no, I want to have my own, naming. I want to have my own format. Then the next thing is internal stage actually. That is internal named stage. Okay, so this is named stage. Named stages are substitution for user and table stages. Means it's an alternative because they have certain limitations that you cannot change or remove, or you cannot have your own file formats, and yeah, those things. But they have separate use case. You can only use within that. But no, I don't want to do like that. I want to have my own name. I want to have my own file format. And of course, go with named stages. Named stages are substitution for user and table stages. Means you don't want to use user stage and you don't want to use table stage. Okay. Then multiple users can access the named stages and can load multiple tables. See here. So anybody can use this stage. Means all your team members can use if you create named stage. For example, you're loading in the employee table. Then you create, okay, this stays with @employee data. Then all your team members, they don't have to create the stage file for this employee table. Okay, they can use the stage and they can load because the stage is available to every user within your team. So multiple users can access the named stages and can load multiple tables. So they can load into their own tables, and of course you can play around it. So basically, it is accessible or available to all the users. Okay. So, and file format, everything, of course, you can mention. File format can also be specified at the time of named stage creation. Okay. You can create CSV, you can create Parquet, Arrow, JSON, whatever you want, you can create. Okay, so and the notation or naming convention for this is at the rate named stage name is used to refer the named stages. Okay, so what is the user stage naming convention or notation? At the rate tilde. So for table stage, at the rate percentage. So but for named stage, you don't have to do anything, just at the rate. At the rate name of the stage. If you give, if in your script you are using at the rate some name, means it's a named stage. That's what we need to understand. So named stages are substitution, or it's an alternative, or it's a replacement. Okay, uh, it's not like replacement. You can use as an alternative for users stage and named stage. Okay, so because this is more convenient. Okay, because the files stored in the named stage are accessible to others, whereas with user stage and table stage they are not accessible to others. So yeah, named stage is accessible to others. So if anyone in the team member creates a stage, other person can load. So which is very easy, or more convenient for the people to work as a team. So that's why people will generally use named stage once the data is within Snowflake environment. Okay, so multiple users can access the named stage and can load multiple tables. Yeah. So if the same table can be used in multiple databases, okay, then we can use that same stage. Means stage once load many times. That's what it is. Once you create your stage file and load into whatever databases you want to load, that's it. So multiple, it can be loaded into multiple tables with by multiple users or developers. So file formats can also be specified at the time of creating a stage itself. And a notation for accessing the named stage is at the rate. At the rate named stage is used for the named stage. Okay, so yeah, generally we create, okay, create stage, whatever your stage name you will give. Okay, so file formats you can give, type maybe CSV, Parquet, Avro, JSON, whatever it may be. And CSV means obviously field delimiter you will give. Delimiter means I told you in the introduction class. Delimiter means column separator or field separator. Okay, so I will tell you again. Means if you employee ID, employee name, department number, then it has 1001, some RAM, some 10. In between you will give delimiter like comma or pipe or something. So that means system will understand, okay, first field, second field, third field based on the delimiter. So that is called field delimiter, means column separator or field separator. And if you have header within that file, you will mention a skip header. Yeah, how many lines you want to skip within the header. Otherwise you don't even mention that option. Yeah, of course, this is again we will show this how to load using. In fact, these stages I already said, stage is the place where you stage or keep the files for the purpose of loading. So basically we keep or create stages for the purpose of loading. So these are all the loading. See, first you will have your stage created, then just a listing means you will just see, okay, whether the data is available in that stage or not. Then loading into target table. So after loading, the data is available in Snowflake tables. So we'll see all these things. Okay, so upload means staging basically means you will keep the file in the stage location. It may be user stage, table stage, or internal stage. Then listing means whether this table is successfully created or not, we will verify, because we have to verify right before loading. So okay, in the listing we will be able to see, oh okay, this so and so stage is created. Then loading means we load it into target table. Okay, So target table. So then after loading, you can just query the table. Select star from so and so table, or select star from employee, select star from customer. Then you will see the data. That means loading is completed. So that means we are basically staging is, I already said, in the data warehousing, sources will be there, stage will be there, target will be there. So stage is an intermediate layer where you clean up the data, right? And after that is cleaned and transformed, you load it into table. So that means stage is a pre-step before loading. So same thing, the it may be internal stage, table stage, or named stage, whatever it may be, it's a pre-stage or pre-step before loading. So once your data is loaded, that's it, you are done. So that means your data is available in the target table. Okay, yeah, the same thing. Create a replace stage. Okay, file formats. You can give CSV, whatever it may be, delimiter header, copy options. I mean, there are different options. We'll see on error, about, or purge. So then loading. Okay, loading into table from stage. So that will load the data. Okay, loading into table from this stage. That means in the Snowflake, every time you load it into a target table from stage, it may be user stage, table stage, or named stage. So yeah, we will see loading and unloading. So that is the next after the stages. So basically, stages means we understood. Okay, it is the place where we keep the files. Okay, for the purpose of loading, and we can keep it either in user stage, or table stage, or named stage. Okay, and once the files are there in that stage, you can load it into whatever table it is. How to load? Using copy. Okay, in of course in Redshift also it uses copy. Okay, so same thing here also, copy, but syntax will differ. There is also copy is used for loading, and here is also copy used for loading. Okay, in AWS, copy works, or it reads data from S3. Okay, here it reads data from stage. Okay, yeah, this is in case of internal stages. In the external stage, here also we use S3. Yeah, I will tell you. Okay, when we discuss about external stage. So loading into table from so and so stage name. At the rate means it's a named stage. At the rate tilde means it's a user stage. At the rate percentage means it's a table stage. Like that we will understand here. Or just at the rate means it's a named stage. Okay. So once the data is loaded into that, you can even select star from pre-stage db dev. Okay. You can files dot test. You can just query from there. Okay. This is the database name. This is the schema name. This is the table name. We can query, or you see, we can also directly query from stage also. Okay. So from stage also we can query the data. So like $1 means first column, $2 means second column actually. From at the rate stage name. That means while the data is there in the stage, it's like stage table. At the rate stage also we can query like we query the normal tables. So that is also possible. We will see that. And of course, then you can drop the stage if you want. Okay, so that means stage we are creating with creator replace stage, loading. Okay, we get querying, and then we can also drop. Okay, so yeah, this is about different types of internal stages. Okay, so we in the next class we will see how to stage files within the user stage, within the table stage, and within the of course named stage. And then we will see external stage, and then we will see how to load it into target tables, using internal stage and external stage. That means loading and unloading. Okay, loading and unloading within Snowflake. Okay, so any questions?
No, Krishna.
Okay, then. Okay, this naming stages also, generally they'll ask, what is stages? Just okay, and what are different types of stages? Or because we try with experience, so do you know about stages? Yeah, and what are different stages? Yes, okay, these are different stages. And what is, difference? What is the difference between user stage, table stage, name stage? Like this, they'll ask. That's it. Okay, but the main thing is, copy and loading. Okay, so which comes in the next topics. Okay, so okay then. See you tomorrow. Okay, Harika.
Yeah, Krishna. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye.